Welcome to Nerd Wing Square, where we like nerd stuff more than Roman Reigns likes for us to acknowledge him. How are you doing today, Eric?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
From the dream. Today we're actually going to be talking about, in my opinion, it is still nerdy, but wrestling, specifically WWE. There's nothing against AEW or Impact or anything, but we grew up watching WWE, so
Or as it all, was
was WWF,
WWF.
and
Yeah.
then it became WWE. And just to let you guys know, we will be talking specifically about mainly the Attitude Era to now.
Yeah.
Just because that's when we grew up, and most people who say watch our channel or even watch wrestling nowadays grew up during the Attitude Era forward. Um, First off, Eric, I'd like to ask you all. We'll go in eras instead of doing all around because that could be a lot.
Yeah.
Favorite, we'll start with male wrestlers. Favorite Attitude Era. I'll give you two.
If I remember correctly, Edge,
Yes.
and then, God, and now that I think about it, of course, not the Hardy Boys pop in my head as soon as I think about it. And I'm
Jeff
like,
and Matt, yeah. Which is
yeah,
fine.
but
We'll,
yeah,
we'll, we'll get the tag teams in a second, but
definitely Edge. Just I don't know. He's always kind of crazy, and then
I can get that. But you got another one, though?
Undertaker.
I was going to say my first one's definitely going to be Undertaker will be mine for a lot of these. I
Yeah.
won't lie to you. Mine would Undertaker. And I gotta think back. Attitude Era, you know who was still wrestling, and he may have been not as relevant then, but I mean he was still pretty good though. Stone Cold.
So, yeah.
You
So,
can't
yeah.
go wrong with Stone Cold. Which, by the way, I tried his beer. It wasn't bad. It's not great. I'm not a big beer drinker, but
No.
it wasn't bad. Um, tag team. I think I already know yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
Hardy Boys. Can't go wrong with the Hardy Boys. Which Jeff Jeff more than anybody went through a lot with
Yeah.
drugs and alcohol and everything, but he's come back and
Oh yeah.
he's strong. I got to agree with Eric on that one. Hardy Boys for sure. And then for Attitude Era, this is before the women's revolution. Favorite diva.
Ooh. I honestly can't think of many from that era. I'll have you go first because I'm trying to think.
I got two. Um, Sorry about this. Trish Stratus is number one, of course. She's
Mm-hmm.
Canadian from Toronto, I believe. Just, just, pardon the language. I know we're only 3 minutes in, but damn. Um, just
mm.
chef's kiss. And then I'm gonna go with Stacy Keebler and just legs,
I
legs.
I gotta go with Trish too. I was gonna say that, but I'm like, I'll let you say it first.
I mean that's fine. And don't worry, this episode isn't gonna be just strictly us saying our favorites. It's just how we're gonna go into things, anyways. But can you recall your favorite match that you remember watching during the Attitude Era?
Oh, darn it!
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to make sure it is in that era, but was the Hell in a Cell match
Uh-huh.
where oh god, who was it that fell through the
Through or off?
I think it was off.
Mankind.
Yeah,
The
so
Undertaker
Mankind
versus
versus
Mankind.
Mankind. Yep.
Which interesting story about that. When Mankind went through or fell off the cell, my favorite match, by
Yeah.
the way. I think that's Attitude Era, so we could be
Well,
wrong.
Mankind didn't go past that into there. I don't think. Or did he?
No, he went into the PG third or the PG era, or no, the ruthless aggression era.
Yeah.
But that's it. But no, interesting fact about that match, real quick, is when he fell off, something happened on the inside of his mouth. If you ever go
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
and watch that
Mm,
match, they're gonna do a zoom in on Mankind's mouth,
I think that's why I remember
and
it.
Undertaker thought it was a booger. No, his tooth went through
Through
his
his
lip and hung in his mustache.
trigger warning. We'll probably.
It's a little disturbing, a lot actually. Um, it either be that for me or if I'm correct, this is still. And actually, no, I'm gonna go with that because the one I'm thinking of is Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah.
But and here's the reason why we're actually talking about WWE today is in about a week,
Yeah.
yeah, about a week, WWE is going to be streaming on
Netflix.
Netflix. Well, Raw is specifically, and I think that's a big thing because and one of the questions we were going to ask, but I'm just going to say it now is, Eric, why do you think they're going to go to Netflix or wanting, yeah, going to
So
Netflix?
my theory is because obviously when we grew up, it was the aggression ruthless era, like that combo, and with Netflix not having as many censorship as cable television, I have a feeling that that's what they're going to head towards is to bring people like us back into wrestling, and it feels like they're gripping at that era, that meaner, everyone's kind of a
Like they're wanting to go back
yeah,
to the Attitude Era, ruthless aggression, and
everyone
everything
be a
else.
dick kind of.
Yeah, pretty much. And I agree with Eric actually. So like we were talking about this earlier today. This video was actually like a last minute idea that we were talking about it, how
Mm-hmm.
Raw is moving to Netflix, and we're like, well, why don't we do a video about it? Not. I mean, I'm sure everybody already knows this too, but talk about it. Excuse me, I'm sorry, and go from there. I'm with Eric. They're for censorship because I don't know if anyone else remembers when they would bleed back then. What they would do is they would take razors. Either they would have them in their trunks or their wristbands, or the ref would have them, and they would do a cut across the head, and they would bleed. That's what they were bleeding. Sorry to ruin wrestling for somebody watching this, but it's the truth.
Yeah, forget it. There's
I've been told that wrestling it okay.
so
This is gonna be an
so
argument. Go ahead.
I'm gonna start that
Mm-hmm.
conversation before anyone says anything. It's scripted. It's not so much fake. It's scripted because what they put their bodies through and all the exercises, all the diets and everything is real. But at the end of the day, some of the stuff, or a lot of the stuff, is scripted. They're told what to do. Sometimes they go off of it, but most of the time they follow it. I feel like I'm gonna say this now. I feel like especially when Triple H took over, it feels like they're a lot less
Well,
fully
yeah.
scripted and more
Mm-hmm.
improv.
I will say somebody who does go off script a lot or used to was Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
And
he.
if he ever watches this, he can come after me. I will take an F5. But
Well, that was just because he went from UFC, and UFC
yeah,
isn't.
that different whole different ball game.
Yeah,
But wrestling, like he said, wrestling is fake to an extent. Now, it's scripted that most of the time they are told what they're gonna say. They have lines. In fact, John Cena called out The Rock one day that The Rock used to have his lines on his wrist, and he called him out for it. That was years ago,
yeah.
not too long ago, 5 years ago. But anyways, um, but that being said, if I were to, me and Eric were trained, hypothetically, trained professionals in the ring, and I were to suplex Eric onto the mat, that's still gonna hurt. It's still his body hitting the mat.
Yeah.
Interesting fact though, the ladders are made out of wood.
Yeah.
And steel chairs are a different kind of steel fiber, I think.
The ladders are wood now.
Yes.
But
back then they weren't.
no, see WWE, they were like the first to really televise
Mm-hmm.
wrestling, like put it really out there for everyone to watch. So just like the internet was for us when we were growing up, it was the Wild West. They did not have a lot of safety measures for everybody.
Yeah. But anyways, we got off track. We went on a tangent. What else is new on this channel?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move to the ruthless aggression era, which in my mind is, I think of it as the era of the beginning of John Cena.
Yes, it definitely.
When he came out. So, Eric, favorite male superstars for the ruthless aggression era?
In all honesty, if my timeline is correct, it's got to be the hometown hero.
Oh yeah, it's Randy Orton.
Yes.
I had to think about that for a second. He was a little bit in the Attitude Era, but not much.
No, he really ruthless and beyond.
Because of Evolution.
Yeah.
Yep. Which by the way, I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. My favorite tag team or stable was Evolution.
Yeah.
But you got another one or just the one?
Uh, honestly, I Cena will probably be the other one because that he. Oh,
Man,
all I gotta
violence.
say, it's gonna be a tangent, but look up interviews or documentaries of him talking about his early years, especially the Ruthless era years.
Orton or Cena?
Cena.
Okay.
Like it's hilarious, especially since he didn't know what he wanted to be. He's like,
No.
he started rapping at a holiday party, I think it was, and that's
Mm-hmm.
when his persona came to life.
Yeah. Me, if I'm going ruthless aggression, again, I'm going. I'm gonna agree with Eric on both fronts actually. Cena because he debuted on SmackDown due to some an old show they had called Tough Enough,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically think of if you watch wrestling NXT, but back then. And there's two kinds of NXT by the way. We'll talk about that maybe later. Um, but no, I think he won Tough. No, he was part of Tough Enough.
He just stood out
Yeah,
mostly.
he was gonna win pretty much, and he came out on an episode of SmackDown, and his very first match was against Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle said, "What? Why do you think you deserve to be here?" And he said, "Ruthless aggression," and then just slapped the piss out of his mouth. And then they had like a very, I wouldn't say wholesome, but it was a really good, strictly wrestling match. There were
Yeah.
suplexes. They struck each other, yeah, but there was just suplexes, takedowns and everything. It was good. Lasted only about 4.5 minutes, but in my opinion, it is my favorite match of that time, which I know there's tons, or
Oh
one of
yeah.
my favorite matches, I'll say. There's tons of matches I could talk about, but just Cena's growth from that. Or his match with no, he never had one with, I don't think it's one.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then of course hometown hero Randy Orton. He hears voices in his head.
Yes. And I mean that will probably pinpoint where we're at least generally from, which is
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Yeah.
Um, Female superstar or diva as they were called back then.
Like in all honesty, it's gonna be Trish for like a good majority of the eras until
PG era, which is when she was gone.
yeah.
I'm gonna go with not Trish, believe it or not.
Oh.
There was a woman. I can't remember her last name. It started with an M, but her name's Ashley. And she won the Diva Search, which was basically tough enough, but for women. And back then, women were over sexualized and
It did.
everything. It was bad.
Uh,
But anyway, she won, and she had this really cool theme song, and she was like a punk rock
yeah.
diva. She was just, pardon me, but she was just hot. But yeah, no, she was my favorite. I think for the ruthless aggression era, and then Eric tag team.
Oh, that's a good one. I think no, no. Is that because I can't remember if Ray and Eddie actually had a tag
They
team
never fully were
or
a
a
tag team. They
but
were
it just always felt like they were.
yeah. Mine, like I said, would be Evolution, and there's a thing on the counter.
Oh, he's fine.
Okay, sorry.
Cat decided he wanted to be on the counter.
Anyways, mine would be Evolution, and it's strictly so. For those of you who don't know, Evolution consisted of Randy Orton,
Mm-hmm.
Triple H, Ric Flair, and Dave Batista, or Batista as he was just called then. And yes, the same Batista that plays Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's just an all-around great guy. Like it,
He's a really nice guy, I've been told too.
like another one I would say look up interviews. Just look him up.
But they formed, so it started with Ric Flair and Triple H, and I think Ric Flair at the time was, I think that's when they cemented him as a 16-time world heavyweight champion. I apologize. And he was just one of the greats. He had already taken Triple H under his wing. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, or if you want to go by his real name, Paul Levesque.
Paul.
Just to throw it out there for the one that knows. But they formed a faction, And then they brought in Randy Orton, who was a third generation superstar. And by third generation, it means his grandfather
Mm-hmm.
was a wrestler. His father was Bob Orton.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember his grandfather's name, and I feel bad about that. And then there's Randy Orton. And his son's actually training to be in wrestling, too.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But anyways, they took him in because well, he was a third generation. He was green. He was very green when they took him in, but
Mm-hmm.
still. And then Dave Batista or Batista came in as like the muscle. They were thinking of as like the mafia in a sense. You had Triple H,
Ric Flair.
who were the Dons.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Orton was like the underboss, and then Batista was the muscle. At one point, they all held titles. Triple H had the World Heavyweight. Rick and Batista had the WWE Tag Team Championships, and Randy had the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
It was just chef's kiss. But
And listen, yeah, that
their theme song was also good too. But do you have a favorite match? If you can remember. I already said my John Cena one, but I have another one.
that see, I get my errors confused because
It's
I'll
okay.
admit I enjoy wrestling, but it's been a while since I like steadily kept up with it. Um, that isn't the. I honestly can't think of one off the top of my head because it's like,
There's so many too. That's the
yeah,
problem.
or I can't remember who, and I think it is because Big Show was in that era
Yeah, he
too.
was.
I can't remember who picked him up, but no one believes he could. Or is that later
It was
on?
Brock.
Was it Brock?
Yes.
Okay. Wasn't that era though, was it? No.
Ruthless Aggression era?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
I see I thought that's what I was thinking was because all I can remember because back then my sister's boyfriend was the one that got me into
Yeah.
wrestling. And we were watching it and he's like, there's no way. There's no way and
Well, you know how they do that is actually when Brock or John or anybody pick up someone as big as the Big Show, you know what they do, right? When they go to jump, it's very subtle,
yeah.
but the bigger guys will jump
Yeah.
up, so it's easier.
But I
Um,
mean still
yeah,
that
that's
was
true.
crazy.
Um, my favorite match, aside from the John Cena debut, WrestleMania 20, very specific.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn Michaels, which by the way, I'm anybody
Shawn
who's a
Michaels.
Shawn Michaels fan, it's not that we don't like him, it's just at the time
It
it's
was
what we were growing up with. People have already seen Shawn Michaels, you know, he's the Heartbreak Kid, you
yeah.
know, Mr. WrestleMania. There's nothing against him. But it was him versus Vince McMahon in a street fight.
Oh, I remember
I
that.
remember Vince being carted away on a stretcher with a trash can on his head
Yeah.
and his finger up like this.
Yeah.
Sorry for the finger. Um,
Which is
Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say because right after that is when we really got that SmackDown Raw split. Like Raw became more of a heel
Hmm.
show, and SmackDown became
So now we're kind of getting into. It's kind of hard to describe this. Next would be like the PG era, essentially, which basically strains from almost 2010 to, I'd like to say about 4 years ago.
yeah right before COVID.
Yeah, essentially. So, and it's 10 years. That's a lot to cover. And we're not going to like cover
Breakdown,
each
yeah.
year. No, that takes damn
But
long.
like I said, my main thing that I want to talk about with that era is the literal split because you could tell the split between the shows.
Well,
Like
aside from like, so Raw, I will say, has always, since I can remember, has been on Monday
late
night.
night, yep.
SmackDown has jumped 3 times. It was originally it was on Friday that I could recall, but this is off my memory.
Mm.
Friday, and then it jumped to Tuesday. No, it went to Thursday,
Thursday,
and then it went to Tuesday, and then
mm.
I think it just jumped back to
Back to
Thursday.
Thursday.
So it's gone 4 times. And also during these times, I think it was the Ruthless Aggression era. It came back for a little bit. A lesser known brand known as ECW came out,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically their
Elite,
third show. And it's where,
isn't it like Elite Champion Wrestling?
Extreme Champion Wrestling.
Extreme.
You're thinking of something else.
Yeah.
um, but
Oh yeah, AEW.
Yep. It was very violent. It was more violent than like Raw or SmackDown would be. It was only on for about an hour and a half though.
Yeah.
It only had maybe about 4 matches. It was very extreme in the sense of they even had a girl stripping on it at one point. Her name was Kelly Kelly.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I remember.
Fantastic. Sorry. But a superstar, in my opinion, that was started on that, and he's still known to this day, and he even came back. Popular opinion will waver on whether you like him or not. CM Punk. He started on ECW.
Yep.
He was the ECW champion. He won Money in the Bank 2 years in a row, and both times he won a World Heavyweight Championship.
Well, that's a good question. What's your opinion on CM?
I like CM Punk whether he was a heel or a babyface, and for those of you that don't know, heel is basically a bad guy, babyface is good guy. But whether he was heel or babyface, I liked him. His moveset was great. His legendary pipe bomb, which if you're ever curious, just look up CM Punk pipe bomb. This man went off script, had his own microphone hooked up to the arena, and just went on a tangent. He called everybody out. He wasn't vulgar about it either, which is what I liked. But now he's gone through tangents. He's gone through a straight edge society thing where he wore the mask or whatever. He's mocking Rey Mysterio. He went through his Wolverine phase. Remember that when he had the mutton chops? Um,
I
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was always on the fence with him, especially because when he was heel, he was
A dick.
he was too much of a heel. It's like
Well, you got to say that like then you got to think about hometown hero.
yeah, I know.
Randy Orton literally punted the head off of Stephanie, Shane, Vince, and Vince's ex-wife. I can't think of her name.
No,
I'm sorry.
you're right. It's just I don't know. I grew up around the people that were like, CM's too bad, and it's like, so I think it's just a
But he's real. That's what like he will honestly take. Like he'll tell you the truth about WWE without a doubt. But he'll like when he's there, he's real, and he's back now. And I think he's actually Monday night on Raw on Netflix. There we go. Sorry. Yeah. That he will him and Seth Rollins, who is one of my favorites from the era that we're currently in right now.
Seth freaking Rollins.
Hell yeah. Are just gonna have a great ass streak fight, and I'm looking forward to it.
Didn't in this last match? Didn't he come out? Spoilers. Didn't he come out in a towel and a?
Yeah, he was helping somebody. I don't remember why.
Yeah, that was hilarious. But
he knows how to be funny. Phil Brooks, that's his name. We were talking about real WWE or
the names for the
WWE. And I couldn't remember his name, and I don't know why. I just sorry.
Swinging my foot.
Popped up. It's Phil Brooks. If you just ever want to look it up, who's also married to AJ Lee, which god damn. Sorry. I didn't drink.
But what I also feel like why Raw hasn't really moved is because of the simple fact that everyone loves a bad guy.
Yeah.
And that is Raw almost to a T, especially when this era started. Because SmackDown slowed down on the whole aggression, and then Raw was like, that's our bread and butter.
So we're going to speed through the PG era and the era that we're currently on right now. So I'm going to give you one for each instead of two.
Okay.
PG era, who would be your favorite superstar?
PG era?
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker, because his era was coming to an end. Like
I'm gonna give it that too. Long live the dead man.
Yeah.
Female superstar.
Female? If I'm wrong, forgive me, but isn't this when Mommy came back?
No, not yet.
Nope, that's next year. Oh god.
That tells you who Eric's favorite female superstar is right now.
No. Do you remember Chyna?
Way before that.
I thought so.
She was Ruthless. No, she was Attitude Era.
Oh,
she died actually after.
Yeah, that's right. No, I'm going to be straight up. PG era is kind of when I dropped off, so I couldn't tell you exactly what female, like male, like other superstars.
I'm gonna go just shoot the moon. Paige.
Oh yeah.
Her name is Soraya on AEW where she's at now, but Paige. That was my mommy beforehand. Favorite tag team.
Tag team.
Or faction, we'll go with. If you say New Day, this can's going in your head.
No, I'm going left field with this.
Okay.
Field.
That was mine, honest to God.
Yeah.
And Shield, Dean Ambrose, or John Moxley on AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, which we will talk about Roman Reigns probably in another video, to be honest with you. But okay.
And real quick, AEW stands for All Elite Wrestling, right?
Yes.
And that it's pretty much the retirement wrestling. If I'm gonna be honest,
because Jericho's on there, Adam Copeland, aka Edge, Christian Cage, Paul White, Big Show,
yeah.
and I don't remember his real name, but Jack Swagger is on there. And Soraya.
Yeah.
Okay, favorite match. Honestly, I'm throwing it down to any Randy Orton John Cena fight.
Mm-hmm. Because they were neck and neck for a while there.
Okay, then this era right now. Favorite male.
Favorite male right now. Mm-hmm. And this is gonna probably get some controversy. Cody Rhodes.
He's got a killer theme song. We were listening to it earlier, and it's just like one you gotta sing to.
And here's my explanation on that. It's just this goes back to that theory that they're going back to Attitude Era. It's like when he came back.
He had a good theme song back then too.
Yeah, when he came back, it felt like everything was changing back.
Mm-hmm. So, I have two, and I'll be quick about it. No. I can get hate for one. Cody Rhodes is one, of course, always. The other one is the OTC. I'm not gonna lie. It's the original Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. I understand, but it's just who he is as a person. That's why.
Well, it's not even that. It's just.
Also, he's just strong as fuck.
I mean, fair. My beef with him is just he's gone on too long.
I agree. Well, that's why he's not champion anymore.
Yeah, it's just like he kind of did his story for a long time.
Well, as long as you acknowledged him, he was fine. All right, favorite female superstar right now. We already know Eric.
Mommy. Or Rhea Ripley.
And then also, if you want to know her real name, just because I'm that guy, Demi Bennett. Mine would also be Mommy, or I can get a lot of hate for this now, but I don't care. Fight me. Liv Morgan.
Real quick, while we're still recording, I have to. It's not just me that likes Mommy. It is also the wife who isn't here right now.
Who was the cameraman the last time we recorded?
I'll just put it this way. She made me get this version of 24 with Mommy on the cover. She made me spend.
When's the last time you played this?
A while.
Okay.
But it's just the fact that she would not let me get the other version. And then I guess match is probably going to be.
Oh, I'm not done talking about Liv Morgan.
Okay, sorry. Liv Morgan is good.
She's good. She's a good fighter. Her finisher I'm not a big fan of. The whole where she just bounces off the ropes and everything because they don't really hit the head. But I will say, and I'm sorry, she got an ass. Yeah. Anyways, favorite match. Go for it.
Oh God.
We skipped tag teams, but it's fine.
What?
We skipped tag teams.
Honestly, there's not
the bloodline.
Yeah, the bloodline. I don't think it was last year, or was it? It was last year's WrestleMania. No. Oh. That was a good one. That was definitely up there. But no, the Drew McIntyre and Sheamus.
Okay, I can relate with that.
Just because of all the fucking chest slaps.
Oh God. You ever see Gunther slap somebody, by the way, or Walter, or whatever the hell his name is? Oh my God. Mine would have to be Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns when he won the title. Because you got The Rock came, Undertaker, John Cena, everybody showed up. It was a pivotal moment. And it was also Cody honoring his late father, Dusty Rhodes.
I will say that WrestleMania match with him really made me mad because Roman was literally losing his mind because Cody would not give up. And then...
But on that note, all I have to say to everyone watching, and Eric, to remind you, January 6th, I believe it's 7 o'clock or is it 8 o'clock?
It depends on the time zone. I believe it's 8 o'clock GMT, 9 o'clock Eastern, so it would be about 7 o'clock Central. 7
o'clock or 8 o'clock, depending on your time zone. Tune in on Netflix, watch Monday Night Raw live. Until then, I'm Kyle.
I'm Eric.
And where we love nerd stuff more than Roman Reigns wants you to acknowledge him.